Good morning, students. This is Ms. Hart back with another math bell ringer for this week. This week, we will be exploring multi-step equations with fractions. So we will be using the peanut butter and jelly method that I have discussed multiple times. We will also be using different ways of multiplying and different ways of dividing in this segue of math bell ringers. Okay, so let's look for the example. Let's look at the example we have here. We have 10 over 3n minus 5 over 2n equals to 5 over 3. Now, there's a few things going on in this equation. The first thing I notice is that I have an n and an n, two variables. They are alike. And what you want to do here is you want to combine like terms, something that we've discussed before. So I am going to combine 10 over 3 and 5 over 2. When it comes to fractions, the denominators, which are 3 and 2 in this case, the denominators must be the same in order for them to be combined. Are they the same right now? No. In order to turn your denominators the same, you must use a method called least common multiple. So using a little mental math here, the least common multiple between a 3 and a 2 is 6. So how do I turn these fractions into something over 6? For instance, currently they say something over 3 and something over 2. I want to turn them both to something over 6. Well, this is the way I can think about it. Well, I know if I multiply 3 times 2, I get 6. And the method goes this way. Whatever you do to the bottom of your fraction, you must also do to the top of your fraction. So if I'm multiplying the bottom of my fraction by 2, I must multiply the top of my fraction by 2. And then once I change this fraction, let's see what we get now. 10 times 2 is 20. 3 times 2 is 6. So that means 10 over 3 goes to 20 over 6. I'm going to rewrite my minus sign in the middle. And now the same thing about this 2. I want to change this 2 to the least common multiple 6 here. Well, ask myself the question, how do I go from a 2 to a 6? I can multiply by 3. So then I'm going to put a little times 3 here. And then again, whatever you do to the bottom of your fraction, you must do to the top of your fraction. So since I multiplied the bottom of my fraction by 3, I will be multiplying the top of my fraction by 3. And that will change this fraction to, looks like we're going to have 15 at the top, which is our numerator, and 6 at the bottom, which is our denominator. And then I can rewrite the variables next to these fractions. Now, in this case, the fractions can now be combined because they both have a denominator of 6. So with that being said, I'm going to do what the operation wants me to do. It looks like the operation wants me to subtract. Well, let me go ahead and do that. 20 minus 15. By the way, it's top number minus the top number in this case. So 20 minus 15 is 5. And your denominator always follows you. So the denominator is 6. It's going to stay 6. And I'll put the variable back with it. Now, you may notice that I still did not use my 5/3, or aka 5 over 3. You could also call it 5/3. I did not use my 5/3 yet. So what I want to do is I want to bring down what I did not use yet, but you're going to also see me write 5/6 next to it. So if I rewrite it, I have 5 over 6n is equal to 5 over 3. Now, in this case, you may know that our last step is to divide. I have a number with a variable or a fraction with a variable, and that means I have to divide it. So what I want to do is I want to set up the methodology here to show you about keep, change, flip. I want to show you how that works. So, well, if I think about it, if I have to divide 5 over 6, if I have to divide 5/3 by 5 over 6, that literally says 5 over 3 divided by 5 over 6. That's what that says. And now, methodology here. Keep, change, flip. Something that you've probably heard of before in your middle school years. Okay? So keep, change, flip goes as follows. You want to keep the first fraction. You want to change division to multiply. And you want to flip your last fraction. Flip as in For instance, if I were to take this marker and flip it, now the writing part is at the bottom. Flip it. Okay, so with that being said, let me go ahead and keep my 5/3. Change division to multiply. Flip 5/6 to 6/5. And then now, as you see, we will be multiplying at the end. So technically, we're not dividing at all here. It changes all to multiplication at the end. So, well, let me go ahead and do that. And remember, it's numerator times numerator, which is top number times top number, over your denominator times denominator, which is bottom number times bottom number. So I have 5 times 6, which is 30. I'm gonna run out of space, so I'm gonna write it right here. And then I have 3 times 5, which is 15. Now, in some cases with fractions, you can keep simplifying them until you get to the smallest fraction possible. Okay? You can actually simplify this. Guess what? 30 is twice of 15. If you were to say 15 plus 15, or AKA 15 times 2, you get 30. So with that being said, 30 divided by 15, I just get a whole number of 2. And that will be the final answer. Thank you all so much. This has been Ms. Hart, back with another Math Bell Ringer.